Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to another Shabbat. Pray that you're doing well and you're doing fine. It's time to encourage and exhort one another and get into the Most High's Word. It's an exciting time. Unfortunately, for some people, I know I heard my son say, wow, great. I get to be living in the generation. My generation is the generation that has to see the end of this world. And what we're actually seeing is the transition and the passing of the baton. And it's an exciting time if you're living righteously. But believe it or not, for the wicked, it's exciting to them because they think they're upon the advancement and beginning and revealing of a new era of the so-called golden age. And so everybody's looking for something to transpire within the next few years, and definitely trust me and believe things are going to transpire. I'm not going to delay the time. I want to get right into the lesson so we can start exhorting and encouraging each other. And I shouldn't say lesson because the Messiah said in the pre-transliterated text, you need that no man teach you. The Ruach comes and the Ruach will lead you and guide you into all truth. So let's just say we're having a discussion and we're doing as the scriptures told us to do in the last days, to come together, whether it be on the internet or in person, and exhort and encourage, sing songs, sing hymns. You probably laughed at me saying a song a couple of weeks ago. But nevertheless, that's what we were instructed to do, to keep each other encouraged so that we might have a little more petrol, gas, stamina to want to endure till the end. A lot of people are giving up on health, giving up on just life, living. No desire to move forward. It's like a lot of older persons would say, you know, I'm ready to go home and see the Most High. I'm tired now. And people are being worn out, as the book of Revelation said, that Satan would be wearing out the saints who are the true Yahshua-lites spoken of in Psalms 148. Not those fake endorsed saints of the Catholic Church. Those are not saints. So anyway, we're waking up into the truth, and all praises be to the Most High for this time of truth. Today, if you see the title, I'm talking about, hold on, you didn't get a chance like that. I'm talking about deliverance to disobedience. That's what we saw, to salvation. Deliverance to obedience to salvation. I'll have to correct that in the title. And what we're basing this upon is the story of Lot. We always hear quite a bit about Matthew's 24th chapter and Luke 17th chapter, where the disciples are asking Yahushua HaMashiach, how will we know the signs to look for your coming? And we always refer to, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be before the coming of the Son of Man. Well, Luke the 17th chapter espouses and increases and says it will also be like the days of Lot. So today I want to examine and read about what the days of Lot were like, since the Messiah told you that before I come, it would also be like the days of Lot. And truly, we're living in a Sodom and Gomorrah atmosphere with the hedonism and the lasciviousness that's all around about us, and the people that are turned over to reprobate minds. And this was intentional to bring in this transgenderism to lead to another type of trans that they're introducing to the world. They want confusion of minds. And this is why Yah said, I am not the author of confusion. I don't bring in confusion as it pertains to anything, sexuality, sensuality, none of that stuff. I am not the author of those things. Be not confused. Also in Matthew's 24, Luke 17, he says, make sure that no man deceives you. You know, they got us looking every day and every week at what man is doing, at what the Pope is doing, at what Trump is doing, and what the politicians are doing, or what the countries are doing. You need to just brace yourself for the fulfillment of prophecy because you already knew it would happen. Now you're in shock that it's being fulfilled. Biblical proportions of prophecy right in front of your face. Let's go straight into the scriptures so we can get into this as it was in the days of Lot. And we find that in Luke the 17th chapter, starting at the 28th verse. Luke 17 and 28. This is after he said, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be before the coming of the Son of Man. Then he goes on to say in the 28th verse, likewise also as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, and they bought, and they sold, and they planted, and they built. Did you see that? I like to take my time to read so we together can analyze the scripture and what was really said. What they were doing during that time, you find us doing right now. There's so many people that refer to themselves as foodies, and there's been an enamored sense amongst people for food and delicacies and trying different cuisines. And this is the emphasis of they did eat. You have people that are content creators that travel places just so you can watch them eat and you lust after what they're eating. There is this this excitement about being a foodie and getting your hands on every kind of delicacy and food you can eat. And we see an increase in that. We see such an increase. And even more so with drinks. Everybody who now has a clothing line, they also want to have an alcohol line. And there's people that are constantly, they can't do anything without having a drink. So this is what we're seeing an increase in, and this is what was prophesied. So many times we read over these things and we don't analyze it and see that it's relevant in our times again. We see people doing nothing. Look, it says they bought and they sold. Amazon, delivering of packages and people trying to sell goods. Everywhere I go, somebody's trying to sell something because of the economy and the loss of jobs. Look at this next one. They planted. You know, it's amazing that they came out with a movie yesterday called Homestead, talking about people escaping the city because of a nuclear bomb to go and live on a homestead with other people and plant and grow their own food. And we have this obsession with people, and it's a good one. Don't get me wrong, wanting to go from the farm to the table and plant their own foods because the food has been tainted and poisoned and GMOs. And so we see an increase in people planting food, ordering seeds. It's become like a trend. But pay attention. As it was in the days of Lot, so shall it be before the coming of the Son of Man. And then they build it. They are trying to build. This is why the Most High said that they will continue to build, but he said, I'm going to come and I'm going to throw down. I thought building had ceased when I lived in California, but now that I'm in the South, I see that building is increasing because there's still so much room and land for expansion of cities and offices and buildings. I can't believe the construction that is taking place around me because I thought that it wasn't happening anymore because I lived in a congested city that had no more room to build anything, not even a home or an apartment or an office. All the land had been taken because it was only 49 square miles. But listen to verse 29. But that same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. We're going to get into that story. We're going to break that down in Genesis, the 19th chapter. And destroyed them all, verse 30, even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man, Yahshua HaMashiach, is revealed. That's when he breaks through the firmament, his revealing, his presenting. In that day, he which shall be upon the housetop and his stuff in the house, let him not come down and take it away. And he that is in the field, let him likewise not go back. Remember Lot's wife. Many of you probably see the thumbnail that you saw before you came to the show of Morton's Salt. And when I saw that picture, I immediately thought of this verse, and I thought about the story. And you assume that that little girl on the picture that salt has that umbrella because of rain. I immediately thought of Lot's wife if she had been obedient. And this is what we're getting ready to get into. They were delivered, but after being delivered, they were expected to be obedient because they were instructed to not look back. And then after doing so, after the destruction, deliverance, and obedience, then there was salvation. They realized that they had been saved from destruction. And I see that little girl on the front of that salt box, and it looks like it reminded me of fire and brimstone and the destruction that came, and how she was utilizing the umbrella to shield herself. So I just want to get into this story of Lot. We're going to break it down, and then we'll close out with 2 Peter 2 and 4. Let's go ahead and go to Genesis, the 19th chapter. And there came two angels to Sodom in the evening, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early, and go on your ways, as they said. Nay, but we will abide in the street all night. This fascinates me because the scripture tells us that, the epistles tell us that, be careful how you entertain strangers, for some entertain angels unaware. This gives validity to the book of Enoch about angels in Genesis, the 6th chapter, and the fact that there can be a transformation into the likeness of a human being, and how they can fashion themselves, how they sleep, how they tarry, how they eat, how they must be taken care of. This is why you're instructed to always show charity, because you know not if these are the two that are coming that bring forth your salvation and deliverance from a certain ordeal. When I think about, remember Lot's wife, and I think about the fact that it said, as it was in the days of Noah and Lot, so shall it be. Okay, do you know what that's telling me? That the first 3 verses of Genesis, the 19th chapter, is what something I should be looking forward to. A lot of you are dead set, bent on being preppers, and you're denying that deliverance is coming from the Most High. If he said, it shall be like the days of Lot, I should actually analyze this story as we're doing and say, wait a minute. So in the days of Lot, what happened? 2 angels popped up right before the destruction. So the 2 angels just popped up and began to walk like men. And what did Lot do? That's what we're analyzing. Immediately he said, come in, provided charity, stay the night, let me feed you. I wonder if not Lot knew right away that these were angels. Did they fly down and then transform into men for him to all of a sudden jump up with such reverence for these people to call them lords, Elohim? This is an amazing story when you think about what our Messiah said in Luke 17 and Matthew 24. Let's go back to it. Verse 3 of Genesis 19. And he pressed upon them greatly, because they told him, no, we're going to stay in the streets. And you know, a lot of times at night, angels manifest themselves and walk around in the streets. You have an angel of the presence that's with you every day, and you don't even believe that. We don't really have believers anymore. That's why I say you're religious and you're Christian, because you don't really believe the magnanimous possibilities that are all around you and the creator that you serve, who did not create religion or Christianity. Your thoughts are constrained. You know, there was no way to come into the truth unless you remove your head from the box and go to places unknown and read things that they told you not to read. And the Most High is bringing the truth to you, but my people destroy for lack of knowledge, because they're so used to saying, no, I'm not unlearning this stuff that I know. I'm going to stick with what I know. And then they use the scripture out of context because God is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. But unfortunately, you did not know that God of yesterday, today, and forevermore. You met a false God from based upon Isaiah 14th chapter. You met the God of Lucifer and his church and his religion that was set up to deceive you. There's a lot to read, so let me not put too much on it. Verse 3, and he pressed upon the great blessing for angels from above the firmament to come take on the likeness of man and come into your home. And what did he do immediately? Made them a feast and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. I want you to put yourself in this picture, because this may be what has to happen right before you get delivered, right before the destruction of this world and the end of Esau's time. Because we're getting ready to go through it, brothers and sisters. All hell's about to break loose. The birth pains and the coming of the child is not a pretty sight. It's not a pretty thing. There's crying, there's screaming, there's old gods, there's blood, there's water coming forth, there's cutting, there's rupturing. There's all kinds of things transpiring at the birth of a new kingdom, Jacob's time. And at the demise of another. You have one kingdom fighting to maintain, and they think they're going into a new era. They're determined to not see their civilization destroyed, as Tartarus, Atlantis, Egypt, all these places were destroyed. They know what this book says, and they know it's true. They've deceived you and tricked you into doubting the book and arguing and debating over the book. They already know, so they're trying to be prepared to fight, because these angels are coming with our Messiah when the Most High says it's time to end this wickedness. Verse 4 says, but before they lay down, they were getting ready to take a nap, brothers and sisters. I don't know why nobody ever put emphasis on the reality of angels and how they can transform themselves and come amongst us and walk, talk, and sleep, etc. This is amazing. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old, young, and all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot, saying unto him, where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them which meant be intimate with them. That is, no gnosko, have sex with them. And Lot went out at the door unto them and shut the door after him. He went outside amongst these depraved, lascivious, deranged, lustful, gotta have it, take that men out at night, looking and lurking for new, strange flesh. There's a spirit that comes with homoeroticism that overtakes debak, the Hebrew word. Some say devok, but it overtakes a man. I was tripping the other day on how I'm looking at one of these persons who has changed themselves and their preference. And I noticed that they begin to morph and change because they try to take on the characteristics of what they're trying to be. I noticed that some of them, like, the voice changes, the walk changes, the mannerism changes, because the spirit is overtaking the person and the body. And that's why these people that try to hide it and marry these women thinking they can front it off, you always catch them slipping. You know, the wrists will break, the S will come out the little list, the eyes will roll. But hey, what was that? The neck gets out of control. The spirit is that strong. Once, Romans, the first chapter, says it like this. It says, I may have to go, I don't have to go there because I don't want to lose the context of Genesis the 19th, but it said, I gotta find it so I can say it right. I'm here. Romans, it's at the end of Romans, the first chapter. It says, where's it at? Where's it at? Knowing that the judgment of Yah, that they which commit such things are worthy of death. You need to know that with the people that you know that are around you, that, you know, the Most High has already said that these people are worthy of death. This is what I'm looking for. Verse 27, and likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned. This is what's happening in Lot's time. Burning in their lust one toward another. They're on fire. There's no, I don't know why they wanted marriage, because it's not in them to marry, because it's a spirit that burns in them to go from one to the other. It's an insatiable lust. And it says, men with men working that which is unseemly. And then check this out, and receiving in themselves, inside themselves, what they're receiving. You know what that means. That right there is pretty blatant. I won't say pornographic, but I don't know what the word I want to use is. Receiving in themselves the recompense of their error, which was meat. So the overtaking and transformation and changing is because you're receiving inside yourself the error that you've made from the burning, lustful spirit that has overtaken you to want to do something that's an abomination. And so these people have surrounded Lot's house, saying, we want this. They don't want marriage. That's why they're giving in marriage and out of marriage and changing and switching partners. They don't want a commitment because they can't reproduce out of that commitment. But I don't want to get off on a tangent with that. Let's go back to Genesis, the 19th chapter. And let's go down. We read the 5th verse. They said, where are the men? And Lot went outside and slammed the door to keep the angels safe and his family safe. He left the angels in there with his family because he knew his family was in good hands because he had heavenly hosts in there. He said, I pray you, brothers, don't do so wicked. Verse 8, behold now, I have 2 daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. And they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs to be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them? And they pressed sore upon the men. Their thing was to turn every man in the city out. And we're living in a time now, and with the P. Diddy stuff, we can see now we're starting to see that men were on the under for a long time. This has been a lifestyle, a desire that they've tried to impute upon our nation for quite some time. We know it's been around since buck breaking. But little did we know on the under, it was being introduced in what they're trying to tell us is our culture, hip hop. And they had they had made it so that you cannot be a partaker of this until you've been initiated in this. And we had our kids idolizing these people that had partook of that lifestyle, the ones that you thought were men, gangsters, whatever, something to emulate and look up to. And it was a deception and a trick the whole time. This is what we're saying. As it was in the days of Lot, so shall it be before the coming of the Son of Man. That spirit that is all throughout hip hop, we're finding out now is something that is taking over men everywhere. It's in the sports world as well. Stars in the sports world you would never even think had those type of desires, but we see now it is a spirit that's prophesied would be prevalent in the last days. But the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house. The angels said, come back inside. They snatched him away from these lascivious, burning, lustful men that were thinking about nothing but just, you know what they had on the brain. As soon as they pulled Lot in, verse 11 tells us that they blinded these lustful people. And then they said unto Lot, hast thou here any besides son-in-laws and thy sons and thy daughters and whatsoever thou hast in the city? Bring them out of the place. Interesting side note that the girls were obviously betrothed to two men, but had not laid with them yet, because Lot tried to give these daughters to these men and said, take them, and we know that's a whole nother lesson and story. Like, why did he do that? They want to know. I don't even want to open up the Pandora's box right now. I'm going to keep going. Verse 13. I have something to say about it, trust me, but not right now. For we will destroy this place. Verse 13. The angel said, we're going to destroy this place because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Most High. And Yahuwah hath sent us to destroy it. So the moment they came down in verse 1, before they were going to sit down and have a meal and spend the night, their job, two angels were to come and destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, two cities, two angels to destroy two cities. And it's because the stench of sin had reached up all the way past the firmament into the seventh heaven and 10th heaven to where the Most High resides. And he said, no, I can't deal with this. The abominations, the atrocities are too great. And this is what we're coming to now, because things are getting out of hand and man is mocking the Most High, trying to think that he has achieved something because he's sinister and he's done something so overt that the majority of the populace doesn't realize what's been done to them and what has happened without their consent. Trying to destroy the Most High's creation. And he's said, and the Most High says that if I don't shorten these days, no flesh will be saved. Okay? Deliverance, disobedience, salvation. Verse 14, and Lot went out and spoke unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, up, get you out of this place, for Yahuwah will destroy the city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-laws. So we see in verse 14, and I don't want to get off on a tangent there, that at some point they must have been married to these men. And prior to, we're not seeing the lapse of time that has transpired throughout all of these verses. If it was days, if this was all in one day, one night, but it had to be over a few periods of days because the angels showed up in the evening and then on the next day. Because it said in verse 15, and when the morning arose, the angels hastened Lot, saying, arise and take thy wife. So it had to be a couple of days. The boys, the sons that were married to Lot's daughters, did not want to leave Sodom and Gomorrah. So we know what they probably were. They probably were switch hitters. They wanted to stay in the city and party and do those things. A lot of Gentiles and Rome participated in multiple different types of sexualities and lifestyles. It was lasciviousness. And there was none righteous but Lot. We're going to see that Lot was the only one that made it. Verse 15 of Genesis 19, and when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, arise, take thy wife and thy two daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. And so 14 shows how the daughter's husband said, no, we're not going. You're tripping. Lot sounded like Noah sounded to the people Noah was warning, and they laughed at him and mocked him until the rain began to fall and the door closed. And this is the same thing with them. So we're not comparing these two stories. Verse 16, and while he lingered, the men, pay attention. This is deliverance. The men laid hold upon his hand. So what was he doing? Piddling, paddling, lingering, not really ready to leave, trying to pack clothes, moving slow as my wife, taking about an hour. Angels are like, you're tripping. What did the angels do? Snatched him by the hand. Deliverance. This is an interesting thing to look at. Will you be ready to walk away from the apartment in your home that you think is your place of safety and your salvation when an angel tells you, let's go now and don't look back? Are you preparing yourself to have this mindset that Lot had? When your deliverance is nigh at the door, will you walk up out your house, or will you be trying to hurry up and grab, they say grab your papers or your license or Photo album. No, we just read in Luke 17 that it said, if you're on the roof, don't go back into the house. If you're out in the field, don't go back in the house. If the angel says, let's go, let's go. This is what's going to happen. All this prepping you're doing, preparing, all this stuff you're buying, all this stuff you're hoarding, all these things that you think you have to take with you. No. No cell phone to take with you. Let me get my phone. What? That's what the angels will say. The what part? Not understanding the magnitude of what's transpiring when an angel comes to bring forth deliverance. And I'm only saying this so that you can put yourself in this mindset and think. So they're lingering. I could see them all. The wife and the two girls, and even in Lot, lingered. And the men laid hold upon their hands and upon the hand of his wife and the hand of their daughters. I don't know how they grabbed all them hands. And Yahuwah being merciful unto him, and they brought him forth and set him without the city. This verse is telling you that angels snatched him, grabbed them, and brought them forth. Brothers and sisters, they flew them out of the city limits before the destruction came and sat them down and placed them down. Supernatural. Y'all don't believe that this can happen. We're getting ready to see nuclear events, fire, drone attacks, laser attacks. If your faith is not up to a level and you're not keeping these statutes, laws, and commandments, you're not going to be ready. You're not going to make it. And this is so necessary. I'm reading to you what our Messiah told his disciples and us. It will be just like this. And you're not going back to study this? He said it would be like the days of Lot and the days of Noah. Probably next week, if the Most High allows, I'll break down what was happening during the days of Noah out of the book of Noah. Because you won't get it from Genesis. There's more detail in there. Everything that was transpiring and what to look for. Let's go back to Genesis 19. And it came to pass when they had brought them forth abroad that said, now go escape for thy life, and look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all this plain. Escape to the mountains, unless you be consumed. So they grabbed them while they were piddling and paddling around, snatched them out, flew them out, or supernatural, like they used to do in Star Trek, beam me up, transported them into another location outside the city limits and said, now run for your life. I delivered you out of the place that's about to see destruction, but this is the obedience part. Don't look back. That is indicative of so many things right now, especially in the end days. Our entire life, all we do is remember the time, reminisce over you, and constantly want to live in the past and recreate the past with lovers, with events, with dances, with music, with festivals. We're getting together with the family, trying to recreate, because all we do is relish and worship the past. When the Most High said, behold, I do a new thing. And we're so afraid of the future because we have no control and it's unbeknownst to us. And there's so many of you that have control issues that if you can't control what's to come, you would rather hold on to the past and the present when we're all looking towards what's coming, because he told us to set our affections on things above. This is amazing. And what happened? Well, we know what happened. We know the story, which is why he warned us. Remember Lot's wife. Verse 18, Lot said unto them, oh, not so, my Elohims. We won't look back. We're going to head for the hills. That's what they told him to do in verse 17. Escape to the mountains, that we may be delivered supernaturally out of these smart cities. And then after that, we're going to have to walk by faith. Check out verse 19. Behold, now thy servant have found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified the mercy which thou hast showed unto me in saving my life, salvation. And I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. Behold, now this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape there. Is it not a little one, and my soul shall live? And he said unto him, see, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this little small city for the which thou hast spoken. So Lot asked the Most High and these angels, can I go to this other small city? Will this place be safe? Because I don't have the strength to get to the mountains. And he granted him that. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou be come thither. So therefore, the destruction of an entire town was held back for Lot and his family to get into safety and to be delivered, obedient, and see salvation. Therefore, the name of the city was called Zoar. And the sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered unto Zoar. And then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. Destruction was taking place. Listen, and he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the city and that which grew upon the ground. But, verse 26, his wife, little girl in the soft thing, they be telling you stuff and y'all don't even see it. She looked back from behind him and instantly came a pillar of salt. They got the little girl with fire and brimstone coming down. She got an umbrella. And then they got the nerve to want to mock us because this is the destruction of people who live that alternative lifestyle. And that's why they try to steal our rainbow. They don't even want you to know that this land still exists, and they have found that pillar of salt, that mound of salt. There's been documentaries on it. Search it, you can probably find it. Let's look at 2 Peter, and then we're going to close out. 2 Peter, the 2nd chapter, starting at the 6th verse. And turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly. He did that to make an example of what happens when you live ungodly, like Romans the 1st chapter and Leviticus the 18th chapter. And verse 7 says, and he delivered just Lot. And that is so true, because Lot's daughters, what they did, I mean, they survived with their dad, but he's the only one who was righteous. They committed incest and were banished from the congregation with those two nations, Ammon and Moab, which were incestual children. Birth, because the two girls didn't have husbands and said, we won't have seed, got their father drunk and slept with him. Lasciviousness, incest, disgusting. And listen to this about verse 7. It said, and delivered just Lot, vexed with filthy conversation of the wicked. He said he delivered Lot, but even though Lot was a vexed person, almost to the point of unrighteousness. Why? Let's read verse 8. For that righteous man dwelling among them, he's around all these lustful men partaking in that lifestyle. He kept seeing this and hearing this every day. And what did it do? It vexed his righteous soul from day to day with the unlawful deeds he was seeing and partaking in. That's why I had to get the hell up out the city I was living in, because it's a vexation to have to look at this every day. Literally saw men walking up and down the street in the daytime, nude, naked, that flag everywhere, constantly coming up with new festivals so they could partake in their hedonism naked and have orgies during the day. I could look at off my balcony and see the demonic activity. I was vexed, and it was affecting my righteousness because I'm hearing it, seeing it, and living amongst it. The Most High still delivered Lot, though he was vexed with filthy conversation of the wicked. You can't immerse yourself in it because you can become it by being immersed in it. There are times when you need to deliver yourself. Verse 9, the Most High knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptations. You're going to have a lot while we're in this final tribulation. This is not a time to give up and turn back to pornography, fornication, adultery, lying, stealing, partying, revelry, drunkenness, marijuana. No, he can deliver you. He knows how to deliver you because he delivered Lot, and he's going to deliver us. And we get too many fear-mongering content creators and stories on the internet that you're looking at every day that's got you tripping and looking at what man's going to do and not what Yah can do. And this is what's messing y'all up and making you lose your faith, because in the last days, there will be a famine for the true word of Yah. He said he knows how to deliver the godly out of temptations and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. So you need to understand that he's only reserving them for that day so that he can punish them. And they look like they booming to you and like they live in that lifestyle. Take that party, champagne, popping bottles. Now I'm just reserving these people because the judgment is for them. I want them to be here for me to open up this can of whoop. You know what? They look like they're prospering. You look like the whole cabinet and the whole Congress and everybody's going to be full of billionaires, and the elite and the upper percentage is going to control everything. They know the God we serve and what he's getting ready to do. And there's nothing they can do to stop it. The only for sure obstacle to truth is to think you already have it, because truth is a journey, not a destination. Remember Lot's wife, don't look back. Shabbat shalom. Kwam Yashala.